My fiancé confessed 2 months before our wedding. By the way, I have 3 teenage daughters you'll be supporting after the wedding. Surprise, I said. What a beautiful surprise. Then I hired a private investigator and cancelled the venue. Her screaming call when she found out I discovered her 5 previous secret marriages. I need a drink just to type this out. Seriously, grab a beer or something before reading because you won't believe what I just escaped. 2 months ago, I was engaged to a woman I thought was the love of my life. Today, I'm sitting in my empty house with divorce papers from marriages I didn't even know existed, scattered across my coffee table. Life comes at you fast, huh? Let me back up. I met Serena at a golf tournament 4 years ago. I'm not some country club type. I was there because my company sponsored a hole, and being the newest executive meant I got voluntold to attend. She was working the event, coordinating the silent auction. Smart, gorgeous, funny as hell, and seemingly down to earth despite moving in wealthy circles. We hit it off immediately, started dating, and everything seemed perfect. She told me she was 38, divorced once briefly in her 20s, no kids, and worked as an event coordinator for high-end fundraisers. I'm 42, divorced once myself, no kids, and we seem perfectly matched. Similar interests, compatible lifestyles, great chemistry, the whole package. After a year and a half, she moved into my house. Another year later, I proposed. The wedding was set for this June. A modest affair by her standards at a vineyard estate that still cost me a damn fortune in deposits. Our relationship wasn't perfect, whose is, but the issues seemed normal. She traveled frequently for work, was private about her past, which I respected since my own divorce had been messy. She was vague about family, but said they were estranged, which seemed reasonable given some of the stories she shared. She didn't want me on her social media because previous stalking issues made her cautious. Again, seemed reasonable. Looking back, the signs were there. The separate bank accounts. She insisted on the PO box where most of her mail went. The work emergencies that would take her away for days. The burner phone I once found that she claimed was for work clients with boundary issues. But hindsight is 20/20, and I was too busy falling for what turned out to be an Oscar-worthy performance. 2 months ago, we were having dinner at home. I'd grilled steaks, opened a nice bottle of wine, typical Friday night. She seemed nervous, which was unusual. "I need to tell you something," she said, playing with her napkin. "It's about the wedding and after." My first thought was cold feet, or maybe a job opportunity somewhere else. Not what came next. "I have 3 daughters," she said. "They're 13, 15, and 16. They've been living with my sister while I got established here, but they'll be moving in with us after the wedding." I nearly choked on my wine. "You have 3 teenage daughters you never mentioned in nearly 3 years together." She nodded, looking sheepish but also calculated. "I know it's a lot, but I wanted to make sure we were solid before introducing such a big complication. Kids can scare men off, you know." "Where's their father?" I managed to ask. "Not in the picture," she said dismissively. "He doesn't pay child support, so you'll need to help with their expenses. My sister's been homeschooling them, but they'll need to enroll in private school here. The good news is they're amazing girls. You're going to love them." My brain was short-circuiting. 3 teenagers, private school. No mention of this for 3 years. Not once, not a photo, not a Father's Day absence, nothing. "What are their names?" I asked. She hesitated just slightly too long. "Madison, Taylor, and Alexis." That tiny hesitation was the first crack in her performance. I'd later learn why she couldn't immediately remember which names that she assigned to these particular fictional children. But in that moment, I just felt blindsided yet trying to be understanding. This is a lot to process. "Why tell me now 2 months before the wedding?" "The timing worked out," she said. "Their school year with my sister ends right before our wedding. And honestly, I was afraid you might back out if I told you earlier." I nodded slowly, mind racing. "What a beautiful surprise," I said, forcing a smile. "Tell me more about them." For the next hour, she spun elaborate stories about these girls, their personalities, allergies, hobbies, achievements. The details were impressive. She even had photos ready on her phone, which I now suspect were purchased stock images or scammed from someone's social media. After she went to bed, I sat up drinking, trying to make sense of it. The woman I was about to marry had hidden 3 children from me for our entire relationship. What else was she hiding? The next morning, I told her I needed time to process, but was excited to meet them. She seemed relieved, buying my act completely. That Monday, I took a personal day, but pretended to go to work. Instead, I went to see Dan, an old college buddy who's now a private investigator. I wasn't proud of going behind her back, but something felt very wrong. 3 kids she never mentioned, Dan said, eyebrows shooting up. "Red flag city, man." "I know how it sounds," I replied. "Maybe there's a reasonable explanation." Maybe she was worried about my reaction, but I need to know what I'm getting into. Dan nodded. Give me 3 weeks. This could involve multiple states if she's hiding something this big. I wrote him a check for his retainer, provided Serena's full name, birth date, the few details I knew about her past, and her current workplace information. Those 3 weeks were the longest of my life. I played normal with Serena, discussing wedding details and asking occasional questions about the girls. She always had answers ready, but dodged specifics about when I might meet them. Let's wait until right after the wedding, she said. I don't want to disrupt their routine again. Dan called me nearly a month later. We need to meet, not on the phone, was all he said. I met him at a diner outside town where no one would know us. He brought a thick folder and a grim expression. You're not going to like what I found, he started, sliding the folder across the table. Your fiancée isn't who she says she is. For starters, her real name is Valerie Simmons, not Serena Shaw. I stared at the copy of her real driver's license with a different name, but her photo. She doesn't have 3 kids, Dan continued. She's never had any children. What she does have is an impressive criminal record for fraud and at least 5 previous marriages, none of which were properly dissolved. He laid out marriage certificates, divorce filings that were never completed, and police reports from 3 different states. She finds wealthy men, marries them, drains their accounts, then disappears to start over somewhere else. The business trips are actually her maintaining relationships with at least 2 other men in different cities. And the kicker, she was planning to marry one of them next month in Denver. The folder contains surveillance photos of Serena Valerie with another man looking very much in love. It held bank records showing transfers from accounts I didn't know existed, credit card statements, and names I'd never heard. Most damning was what Dan had found in her belongings during his investigation. He'd managed to access her storage unit legally through an informant who worked at the facility and photographed a detailed notebook outlining her business model for targeting wealthy men, complete with scripts for different scenarios, including one for introducing surprise children right before a wedding to test financial commitment and set up for additional financial support later. She's been arrested for this before? I asked, looking at the police reports. Dan nodded. Charges dropped 3 times when victims were too embarrassed to testify. Served 18 months 5 years ago on a felony fraud conviction, then started up again with a new identity, and she's about to marry someone else. How is that even possible when she's engaged to me? She's already married to at least 3 other men, Dan explained. The divorces were never finalized. She just disappears, changes identities slightly, and starts over. Bigamy charges are rarely pursued as standalone cases because they're resource-intensive for prosecutors, especially when the perpetrator moves across state lines. I sat there, folder open, staring at evidence of a 3-year con. Everything. Every moment. Every laugh. Every kiss had been calculated. What should I do? I asked. Call the cops. You could, Dan said. But these cases are complicated. You haven't lost money yet. Technically, though, she's positioned herself to take you for everything once married. My advice, document everything, secure your assets, and exit carefully. She's done this before and knows how to spin situations to make the man look like the villain. I nodded numbly and took the folder. Thanks. I owe you. Just don't sign those wedding papers, Dan replied, and watch your back. I spent that night transferring funds to new accounts she couldn't access, changing passwords, and making copies of everything Dan had found. I moved important documents and valuables to a safe deposit box. Then I called the vineyard and cancelled our venue, citing a family emergency. I didn't get the deposit back, but it was cheaper than a divorce, or 5. The next day, I contacted a lawyer who specialized in fraud cases and showed him everything. He whistled low. You're lucky you caught this before the wedding. Her playbook usually involves a quick marriage, joint accounts, then cleaned out finances within months. What about her existing marriages? Shouldn't someone report that? We can file reports in each jurisdiction, he said, but focus on protecting yourself first. Document every interaction from now on and understand that cross-state legal cases move slowly. It could be years before any charges materialize. Armed with legal advice and a plan, I waited for Serena's next business trip that weekend. Once she left, I boxed up everything she'd brought to my house, had my brother help move it to a storage unit I rented in her name, and paid for 3 months in advance. I left the key and unit information at her office, which Dan had discovered was just a virtual space she used for mail. In her things, I found another burner phone different from the one I'd seen before. It contained text messages to the other fiancé discussing wedding plans for the following month. There were also messages to someone named Mark, about a real estate opportunity requiring significant investment from the new husband. Each man was referred to by a code name. Mine was Golf Daddy, charming. I took photos of everything, then left a manila envelope with the storage unit information containing copies of divorce records from her previous husbands, the photos of her with the other fiancé, and a note. Wedding's off. Your things are in storage unit number 247, key enclosed. Don't come back or I'll contact all your husband's fiancé and the police. Your choice. I changed the locks, set up security cameras, and waited for the fallout. It came about 8 hours later. My phone exploded with calls and texts from unknown numbers. I didn't answer, but recorded everything. Finally, I picked up one call and immediately heard screaming, "You bastard! How dare you go through my things? Who do you think you are?" I said nothing, just recorded. "I will destroy you," she continued. "I will tell everyone you abused me. I will ruin your reputation. My daughters will." "You don't have daughters," I interrupted calmly. "You don't even have your real name on our lease, Valerie." Silence. "Then what did you call me?" "Valerie Simmons. Or is it Jessica Taylor in Colorado or Melissa Wright in Arizona? Hard to keep track of all your identities." Another long silence. When she spoke again, her voice had completely changed, cold, calculating. "What do you want? For you to disappear from my life as effectively as you disappeared from your other husbands? The difference is, I know what you are, and I've documented everything. Go run your scam elsewhere. You have no proof of anything," she hissed. "I have copies of your notebook, the one where you literally wrote down your scam strategies. The one my PI photographed in your storage unit, plus records of your previous arrests." I could almost hear her mind racing. "No one will believe you. Actually, your previous husband in Seattle already got back to me. Seems you used the surprise children's story on him too. Only they were twin boys that time. He's very interested in your current whereabouts. As is the fiancé in Denver you're scheduled to marry next month." She hung up. 10 minutes later, a text came through. "You'll regret this." I forwarded it to my lawyer, added it to the file, and blocked her number. The next few weeks were tense. She tried showing up at my house twice. Security cameras caught her attempting to use her old key, then peering in windows. I filed a police report with the evidence from Dan, but didn't press charges yet. That was my insurance policy. She tried a smear campaign with our mutual friends, claiming I'd cheated and left her heartbroken. I simply showed a few trusted friends, selected pages from the folder. Word spread quickly. She tried contacting my family with wild stories about my supposed issues. My sister, who had never liked Serena, laughed in her face and took photos of her ranting on our parents' porch. More evidence for the file. The final attempt was the boldest. She showed up at my office with 3 teenage girls in tow, actually brought some teenagers to play the part. My receptionist, already briefed on the situation, called security while I recorded the entire interaction on my phone. "These are my daughters," Serena announced loudly in the lobby. "The ones you abandoned when you broke off our engagement." The poor girls looked uncomfortable, clearly not knowing they were part of a scam. I addressed them directly. "I'm sorry you've been brought into this. I've never met any of you before today, and this woman has been lying to all of us. There's security coming who can help you contact your real parents." The oldest girl's eyes widened. "You said this was an audition for a reality show." And just like that, Serena's last play fell apart. She tried to drag the girls out, but security arrived. The girls, realizing something was very wrong, refused to leave with her. Police were called, statements taken. Turns out she promised the teens $100 each to pretend to be her daughters for a TV audition. This incident resulted in actual charges, endangerment of minors, and attempted fraud. Though she made bail quickly, that was the last direct attempt. Through mutual connections, I heard she left town shortly after, probably to focus on her Denver wedding. After consulting with my lawyer, I sent a carefully worded package of information to the Denver fiancé. His wedding was abruptly cancelled too. It's been 4 months now. I've continued working with my lawyer to document everything and file reports in multiple jurisdictions. The process is glacially slow, with each state treating it as a low-priority case. My lawyer warned me that without significant financial losses, many of these cases might never result in charges. That's how these scammers operate. They stay just under the radar of serious prosecution. The strangest part of all this, some days I still miss the woman I thought she was, the one who didn't exist. 3 years is a long time to live with a complete fabrication, and my mind still struggles to reconcile the woman I loved with the con artist who planned to ruin me. I've started seeing a therapist to process it all, changed my dating app settings to friends only for now, rebuilt the financial cushion I'd depleted paying for a wedding venue I never used. Last week, I received a text from an unknown number. "You were different." Almost made me want to stop. Almost. I didn't respond. Just forwarded it to Dan, added it to the evidence file, and poured myself a whiskey. Some people collect stamps. Apparently, my ex collects husbands and near misses. I'm just glad to be in the latter category. Update 6 months later. Well, things have developed in ways I couldn't have predicted. Turns out my information package to the Denver fiancé did more than just save him from marriage to a con artist. It started a slow-rolling investigation. Denver guy, his name is Thomas. We've since spoken. Didn't just cancel his wedding quietly like I did. He's some hotshot tech executive with resources and connections I can only dream of. After verifying my information, he hired a team of private investigators who specialized in multi-state fraud cases. They've spent months building a comprehensive case, connecting with other victims, and documenting patterns of fraud across state lines. Thomas's resources allowed for a level of investigation that individual police departments simply wouldn't commit to for mere romance scams. 3 months ago, all that evidence was presented to the FBI's Financial Crimes Division. Because the scam crossed state lines, involved identity theft, and had a dollar value exceeding their threshold, they opened an official investigation. Last month, I gave my first formal interview to an FBI agent. These cases are complex and take time, she explained. We've been aware of similar schemes, but proving them requires establishing patterns across jurisdictions. Your documentation helps connect those dots. Apparently, when individual complaints stay within state lines, they rarely get prioritized. But when someone connects the dots across multiple states with solid evidence, it becomes a federal case. The agent revealed that Serena wasn't working alone. They believe she's part of a network of scammers who target wealthy men, each with different roles and territories. The investigation is ongoing, with subpoenas for financial records and electronic communications being processed. While I'd love to report that justice has been swift, the reality is that federal cases move slowly and methodically. The agent warned me it could be another year or more before any arrests, but knowing the machinery of justice is finally grinding forward brings its own satisfaction. In the meantime, Thomas and I have been in regular contact. He's connected me with 2 other men from different states who were targeted by Serena Valerie. We formed an unlikely brotherhood, sharing stories and supporting each other through the aftermath of these relationships. Most surprisingly, a woman in her 20s reached out to me through social media after hearing about the investigation from one of Thomas's contacts. She claims to be Serena's actual daughter, an adult estranged from her mother for years. We've spoken twice, and her stories align perfectly with the patterns we've documented. She's provided valuable information to the FBI, including Serena's actual birth name and history. I got a call from a block number last week. Against better judgment, I answered. "You're making a mistake," Serena said without introduction. "This will blow back on you." "The mistake was yours," I replied. "You picked the wrong targets this time." "I know things about you," she threatened. "Things you wouldn't want public." I laughed. "I've been through everything with my therapist. There's nothing left to hide. But you have 5 outstanding warrants under various names. You'll never prove any of it," she said, her voice tight. "I don't have to. The FBI will do that. Turns out when you scam people across enough state lines with enough documentation, they get interested." She hung up. I recorded the call and forwarded it to my FBI contact. My life is settling into a new normal. I'm still in the same house, though I've completely renovated the master bedroom to erase the memories. The security system stays on, and I remain cautious, but I'm no longer looking over my shoulder constantly. Thomas from Denver has suggested we write a book once the case concludes. Not for profit, he said to warn others. I'm considering it. Maybe there's healing in converting this nightmare into something useful. As for my romantic life, I've had a few dates all thoroughly background checked with their knowledge and consent. Moving slowly, eyes wide open. Trust comes harder now, but that's probably not a bad thing. Yesterday, I deleted the last photo of us from my phone. Felt like closing a book on a fiction that never deserved space on my shelf. Final update 18 months later. This will be my last update about the Serena Valerie saga. Finally, there's real closure to report. After nearly 2 years of investigation, the FBI made arrests last month. My ex and 4 members of her network have been indicted on federal charges, including wire fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Their operations spanned 15 states and targeted at least 26 men over the past decade. I was interviewed by the prosecutor's office last week as they prepare for trial. The case is solid. Financial records, witness statements, and documentation of the scheme across multiple states. The evidence Thomas's team uncovered was instrumental, showing a coordinated pattern that elevated this from isolated incidents to organized crime. The full scope of their operation is staggering. They used wedding planners, venue operators, and other legitimate businesses as unwitting resources to identify wealthy targets. They maintain detailed files on victims, complete with psychological profiles to maximize manipulation. They even had contingency plans for various scenarios, including what to do if a mark became suspicious. Thomas has become a friend through all this. He's channeled his anger into advocacy using his tech background to develop tools that help romance scam victims track digital evidence. I've contributed to testing his software, which is now being evaluated by several police departments. I've connected with 5 other men who were targeted by Serena specifically. We formed a strange support network, sharing our experiences and the red flags we missed. The similarities in our stories are eerie. Same approach, same fictional children with different names, same financial angles. The companionship has been healing. Nothing builds brotherhood like shared humiliation, I guess. Most unexpected development. Serena's actual daughter, confirmed through the FBI investigation, has become a sort of friend. She's 27, hasn't seen her mother consistently since she was 12, and has spent years tracking her mother's schemes. Her insights have been valuable to the investigation, and our conversations have helped me understand that Serena's manipulation skills were honed long before she met me. As for me, I'm dating someone new, moving cautiously, with full transparency on both sides. She suggested we do background checks on each other after I explained my situation, handed me her social security number and birth certificate on our 3rd date. The trust we're building feels solid because it's founded on reality, not fiction. Looking back at red flags I missed, the lack of consistent childhood stories, the absence of long-term friends, the resistance to being tagged in social media, the burner phones, the vague family history, the convenient emergencies that aligned with holidays or family events. But the biggest lesson, trust your gut, not your heart. That momentary hesitation when she couldn't remember her fake daughter's names saved me from becoming husband number 6. I sold my house last month. Too many memories. Bought a cabin in the mountains where I spend weekends. Found peace and solitude again. The FBI agent handling the case called yesterday to let me know they've added money laundering charges based on new evidence. The potential sentences are substantial now. Decades, not years. I don't hate Serena anymore. That's the strangest part of all this. I pity the emptiness that drives someone to build their life on lies. What a hollow existence. Never being known for who you really are. Yesterday, I drove my motorcycle through mountain roads. Something I never did when we were together because she thought it was too dangerous. The wind and curves demanded my complete attention, leaving no room for thoughts of the past. Freedom, it turns out, feels a lot like moving forward at your own pace.